Okay, let's unpack this. There's this real tension you see in tech all the time. You get these cool startups, right? Sometimes they're really driven by a mission, a philosophy. They get huge, global even.
Yeah, like what's up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then they're suddenly playing in the same sandbox as these absolute giants. And those giants, they're all about massive scale, total market dominance.
And that tension, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at the moment Facebook bought WhatsApp back in 2014.
Right.
And it just throws this spotlight on the clash between, caring about user privacy first and the relentless push for growth that defines so much of Silicon Valley.
So our mission here in this deep dive is pretty straightforward. What does this whole acquisition really tell us? About corporate strategy, yeah, but also this race for global data and maybe some of the trickier antitrust stuff going on behind the scenes.
And we've got 3 key facts confirmed by the sources about WhatsApp itself that really set the stage.
Right.
First, just the basic fact. Facebook bought them. And importantly, this was happening around the same time they bought Instagram too. You see a pattern forming?
Acquiring huge user bases, basically. Okay, what's second?
Second, WhatsApp was specifically noted for its security. Its use of encryption. That was core to its identity.
Encryption, got it. And the third one, this one feels kind of crucial.
It really is. The sources explicitly say WhatsApp lacked a traditional business plan.
Wow. Okay. Billions of users, eventually a multi-billion-dollar price tag, and no real plan for making money in the usual way.
Precisely. So you have this mix. Depth security commitment, massive global reach, and, well, no clear path to revenue. That's the setup for all the drama that follows.
Yeah, it's like pitting 2 totally different philosophies against each other. A service built to protect user content, bought by a company built to monetize user attention at scale. That's bound to lead to conflict internally.
Definitely.
So maybe we should start with WhatsApp itself. What made it so different?
Well, before Facebook came along, WhatsApp's whole appeal, its entire brand, was built on trust and privacy. And encryption was the bedrock of that.
Right.
The sources make it clear this wasn't some feature tacked on later. It was fundamental, like from the ground up.
And it's mentioned multiple times, this encryption thing, it wasn't just marketing fluff. It was the actual promise to the user, wasn't it?
Exactly. But think about what that means. If encryption is your core promise, how does that fundamentally mess with the standard Silicon Valley playbook for making money?
Because you can't read the messages.
Precisely. True end-to-end encryption means even the company running the service, WhatsApp in this case, can't access the content. They can't see what people are talking about.
Which is kind of the point for the user, privacy.
It is the point for the user.
Well,
but if you can't read or scan message content, you can't build those super detailed user profiles.
the profiles needed for targeted ads.
Right. You cut off the main artery of monetization for giants like Facebook or Google mining data to sell ads. It's a completely different design philosophy. WhatsApp wasn't built to predict your behavior. It was built to protect your conversations.
So WhatsApp was this huge success story in terms of utility and security. People loved it. But from a business perspective, it was an outlier, an anomaly.
Totally. They basically built the anti-advertising app, got huge scale, but without selling out the user experience to ads.
Which brings us back to that second point you mentioned, the lack of a business plan.
Yeah, the sources specifically say it lacked a business plan. They had, a small subscription fee in some places for a while.
I remember that, yeah, like $1 a year or something.
Right, but nothing sophisticated. No grand strategy for sustained profit growth like you'd expect.
That's just...
Yeah.
It's genuinely baffling when you think about the scale they reached and the price Facebook paid. How unusual was that in the wider corporate world at the time?
Extremely unusual. If you look at the dominant corporate thinking then, maybe think back to, GE under Jack Welch.
Oh, yeah, Neutron Jack.
Yeah.
All about efficiency and earnings.
Exactly. The whole game was delivering consistent, predictable earnings growth quarter after quarter. That's what Wall Street wanted.
Welch's playbook was clear.
Yeah.
Ruthless efficiency, cut costs, find ways to squeeze more revenue, hit those quarterly numbers. Yeah. If a business unit couldn't do that.
It was gone. Sold off or shut down. That relentless pressure, that focus on maximizing revenue streams, the quarterly earnings drumbeat that was completely absent from WhatsApp's DNA.
Their focus was just make a good, reliable private messaging app. Avoid getting in the way.
Pretty much. They weren't playing the same game as most big corporations.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in Facebook's shoes for a second. They're looking at WhatsApp. They see the users, incredible scale, unparalleled engagement. That's gold for them.
Pure scale.
But that scale comes wrapped in this inconvenient ideology, the encryption, and doesn't have the built-in money-making engine they usually look for. So the challenge for Facebook wasn't just plugging in a new product. It was like trying to integrate a completely different species, financially speaking.
A species deliberately designed not to be monetized in the way Facebook understood monetization. That's the core conflict.
So why buy this puzzle then? Why pay, what was it, $19 billion for something so philosophically different?
To get that, you really have to understand Facebook's mindset at the time. Their whole mantra, push from the top, was operating at scale.
Right, serving billions of users efficiently, less effort per user.
Exactly. More users, more interactions, processed efficiently. But the sources show this drive for scale wasn't just about passive growth. It was often very tactical.
Tactical how? Like about competition?
Precisely. It was often about eliminating threats and making sure all that user attention stayed within Facebook's walls. The Instagram acquisition you mentioned earlier, it's the perfect blueprint.
Okay, yeah, tell us about that. How did that show Facebook's strategy?
Well, Facebook made it crystal clear internally. Instagram needed to grow, sure, but in ways that benefited Facebook, the parent company. And crucially, ways that did not help rivals.
And Twitter was the big rival here.
Twitter was a key example. Instagram photos used to look great when shared on Twitter. They displayed right there in the tweet.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Convenient for users, right. And good exposure for Instagram.
It was. But from Facebook's perspective, that meant Instagram, their asset now, was basically providing free, high-quality content that helped Twitter keep users engaged on their platform and sell ads around it.
Okay. Facebook didn't like that.
Not at all. The sources show they moved quickly to shut that down. They made a technical change.
What did they do?
Instead of letting the photo embed nicely in Twitter, they changed how the link worked. If you shared an Instagram pic to Twitter, it just showed up as a standard blue link.
She had to click it.
You had to click it. And it would take you away from Twitter, opening the photo on an Instagram webpage, which of course prompted you to download the Instagram app.
Wow. That is, pretty aggressive. Kill the convenience, break the integration, pull the users back to your own turf.
It was a really smart and, pretty brutal tactical move. It basically destroyed the value Twitter was getting from Instagram content. It kept users, their attention, and the ad potential firmly inside Facebook's walled garden.
Okay, so that's the kind of thinking, the kind of competitive environment WhatsApp was walking into when it got acquired.
Exactly. And when you connect that ruthless drive for control with the bigger picture, well, that's when the huge price tag for WhatsApp starts to make a different kind of sense. This wasn't just about messaging.
What do you mean? Like the global tech landscape?
Yeah. The sources actually position Facebook as one of what they call the 7 giants of the AI age.
Okay, who are the others?
It's a mix of U.S. and Chinese companies. You've got Google, Amazon, Microsoft here in the U.S.
Usual suspects.
Right. And then Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent in China. Facebook is the 7th.
And these companies, they have incredible power, right? The sources mentioned huge cash reserves.
Billions and billions in cash. Dizzying stockpiles of capital is the phrase used. And they dominate the emerging AI economy.
So what does that mean for you listening? What's the implication?
It means these giants aren't just competing on product features or hiring engineers. They're in a global race for dominance. Their massive cash allows them to just buy scale, buy innovation, and maybe more importantly, buy potential competitors out of existence.
Like WhatsApp.
Like WhatsApp. They can afford to drop $19 billion on a company with no clear business plan, partly just to make sure none of the other giants get their hands on it.
So viewing the WhatsApp deal, it's not just Facebook bought a messaging app. It's more like Facebook acquired a key strategic territory in this global tech war between these 7 giants, controlling communication infrastructure.
That's a big part of it. And that strategic thinking leads us to maybe the most eye-opening, maybe even cynical reason behind deals like this, the antitrust angle.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You mentioned this. What's the thinking?
Well, the sources point to this theoretical rationale, something Mark Zuckerberg apparently considered. The logic was, if Facebook bought up major companies like Instagram and WhatsApp and integrated them, it could actually make Facebook more difficult for the government to break up into pieces should an antitrust challenge arise.
Wait, really? Buy companies to make yourself too complex to break up?
That seems to be the calculus described. It's a profound so what moment, isn't it? The acquisition isn't just about the product or the users or even beating competitors directly. It's potentially also about building a regulatory defense shield.
By making yourself this tangled, integrated entity.
Exactly. Create interdependence. If regulators want to come knocking later, talking about breaking the company up, they face a much bigger headache trying to figure out how to safely untangle these massive services that now share infrastructure, data policies, maybe even engineering teams.
So the legal fight becomes way harder for the government. Instead of proving a monopoly in one area, they have to figure out how to perform complex corporate surgery.
That seems to be the idea. Was it the main driver? The sources frame it more as a powerful theoretical consideration, a structural advantage gained, but it suggests the M&A strategy had this dual purpose.
Acquire great assets, sure, but also make the mothership more resilient to future regulatory attacks. That's quite a calculation.
It is. It adds another layer to understanding why Facebook was willing to pay such a premium for a company like WhatsApp, even with its inconvenient principles.
Okay, so we've got WhatsApp, built on privacy, no real business plan, and Facebook, driven by scale, competition, data monetization, and maybe even this antitrust defense idea.
A collision course.
Yeah, it feels like internal conflict was basically baked into the deal from day one, wasn't it?
Almost inevitable. You have WhatsApp, founded on the principle that your messages are yours and private. And then you have Facebook, whose entire empire, as Sheryl Sandberg herself pointed out, was built because they had better information than anyone else because users willingly shared so much.
Polar opposites, really.
Yeah.
One encrypts, the other analyzes.
And we saw this tension play out almost immediately, again using Instagram as a parallel. Remember, Facebook bought Instagram around the same time, and the sources give us a glimpse into the culture clash there.
Right, you mentioned the Instagram CEO resisting some of Facebook's ideas.
Yeah, Kevin Systrom. He apparently pushed back hard against growth tactics he thought felt spammy. He wanted to protect the sort of aesthetic quality of Instagram.
Trying to keep it clean, basically.
Right, and the sources say it caused real friction. Some of the Facebook growth team members who tried to embed with Instagram actually left in a huff because their aggressive ideas kept getting shot down.
So even with Instagram, which was maybe less philosophically opposed to some kind of monetization than WhatsApp, there was already this clash over how to grow and make money.
Exactly. It shows this deep divide in philosophy. How do you treat users? How quickly do you push for profits versus protecting the user experience?
Okay, so if that was happening with Instagram, a photo sharing app, imagine the tension inside WhatsApp. Their entire reason for being was privacy and no ads. That's not just resisting spammy tactics. It's resisting the fundamental Facebook business model.
The core conflict becomes unavoidable when you look at what Facebook wanted to do after the acquisitions. They wanted unification.
Unification how?
Well, the sources say they wanted to present a united front to regulators on their data policy.
Okay, I can see that. Makes sense from a corporate perspective. Maybe look more organized, more compliant.
That's definitely part of the narrative. And maybe there are some genuine efficiencies, like you said, applying the same safety rules or content moderation standards across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
Right, standardizing things.
But it wasn't just about tidy paperwork or even just safety rules. The sources also say Facebook wanted to have the same content rules for users of every Facebook-owned app. And crucially, the same data policies.
And same policies inevitably means Facebook's policies.
It has to, right? The parent company sets the rules. And Facebook's rules were built around leveraging data, enabling monetization, understanding users deeply. That's their engine.
So this push for unification, even if framed as efficiency or consistency, was fundamentally about bringing WhatsApp into that data ecosystem.
That's the unavoidable conclusion. How do you unify data policies when one platform, WhatsApp, was specifically designed to prevent data access through end-to-end encryption?
You can't. Not without compromising WhatsApp's core promise.
Exactly. The very thing that made WhatsApp unique and trusted by users, its independent, privacy-first identity, its encryption becomes the primary obstacle to the parent company's goals of scale, integration, monetization, and unified control.
So the pressure to conform, to maybe weaken the encryption or find other ways to extract data, it must have been immense.
Immense. That original mission, that no ads, no games, no gimmicks philosophy was always going to be tested against Facebook's relentless drive for growth and revenue.
And history tends to show us who wins those battles inside large corporations. Scale and revenue tend to have the louder voice. Hashtag tag outro.
So when we wrap this all up, this deep dive into the WhatsApp acquisition, it really tells a complex story. It's about the price of scale, isn't it?
Yeah. You had WhatsApp defined by security, defined by not having a business plan, which made it both incredibly successful with users, but a real head-scratcher for monetization.
And Facebook didn't just buy it for the users, though that was huge. It was a strategic move, a defensive move even.
Right. Take out a potential rival, cement their position as one of those 7 giants,
Fighting that global AI war.
and maybe, just maybe, make themselves harder to break up down the line through that integration complexity.
Yeah. And the source material really underscores that the fundamental principles of WhatsApp's encryption versus Facebook's scale and monetize ethos were just never going to coexist peacefully long term. It highlights how fragile a mission-driven startup can be when it meets a giant with effectively limitless resources.
It really does. And, to leave you, the listener, with something to chew on, the sources brought up this interesting parallel with the traditional financial world.
Oh yeah, the IMF and tracking money.
Exactly. How global bodies like the IMF actually have a really hard time tracking where all the money is, especially money hidden in tax havens. There's this statistical fog.
Right, which makes handling global financial crises much harder because you don't have a clear picture.
Okay, so now take that idea, that statistical fog, and apply it to data. We keep hearing data is the new oil, the new capital. If regulators struggle just to follow the money, the old form of power, imagine how much harder it is to effectively govern the flow and use of data, especially when a privacy-focused company like WhatsApp gets swallowed by one of these AI giants.
Yeah, the lines get blurred. When a company built on trust and encryption gets absorbed into this massive, often opaque corporate structure that wants to unify data policies, what does that do to transparency?
It creates a new kind of fog, doesn't it? A data fog. Makes it incredibly difficult to enforce real privacy, real oversight, in a world increasingly dominated by these consolidating tech powers.
It really does. It leaves us with this huge question about how we ensure accountability and protect user rights when power and data become so concentrated.
Definitely something to think about next time you fire off an encrypted message.